Hello, and welcome to my macromolecules project. In this video, I'll teach you a little bit more about macromolecules and how they work in your body. Enjoy.
Hello there, and welcome to Fake Tech. Here at Fake Tech, we bring you the best in fake technologies. We've spent countless hours with our hard-working employees to bring you the latest and greatest in fake technology. No stone has been left unturned in this facility to discover what's really true and real and what's fake. And then we bring you that. Let's take you to the biochemistry department, which is a lot fancier than our budget would allow. But then again, we do things that are above our budget all the time. As you can see, we have a very, very high budget facility here with lights and a floor and a ceiling and microscopes. That's probably the cooler part anyways. And in these microscopes, we have little bottles, if I can just find one, because I don't know where they are. There's one. Yes. We'll take a bottle and we will put it in here. Ah, yes. And now we will enter this machine. This machine is our, I don't know what to call it really, because we haven't come up with a name with it yet, because those scientists don't talk. But it's okay. We'll just call it the Giant Shrink-O-Matic 5000. Yes. When we come inside, we will shrink and we will go into that bottle where they have tons of macromolecules. And I will teach you all about what macromolecules do, what they are, and how they work. So, let's go. Here we are in the Shrink-O-Matic 5000, the giant Shrink-O-Matic 5000 that should be. And as you can see, all around us there are giant molecules, because we've been shrunken down to the size of molecules so we can study molecular science. Of course, this is the latest and greatest in fake technology, and you should totally buy one because they're like totally rad. So, let's talk about the basic concepts we need to understand in order to understand macromolecules. The first concept we need to understand is an organic molecule. An organic molecule is a molecule consisting mainly of carbon atoms and is usually found inside living things. It's a molecule that is made of living things, by living things, for living things. So now for some terms we will use a lot later on. First we have a monomer. This is a monomer actually. A monomer is a group, or is a single molecule that can be combined with other molecules to form a polymer. A polymer is a bunch of monomers put together, and you have thousands and thousands of polymers linked together. That's called a macromolecule. We also need to talk about H bonding. H bonding is when hydrogen bonds with either oxygen, nitrogen, or fluorine in order to bond molecules that couldn't normally bond by themselves. This won't make much sense now, but it will become much clearer later. So, monomers and polymers are molecules linked together that sometimes need the help of hydrogen bonds to link. Now let's talk about the four types of macromolecules. We have carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. Let's jump into this right quick. Let's talk about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are sugar molecules. There are several kinds of sugar molecules. The kind we eat is called sucrose. There is also lactose and glucose, which is found in plants. Sugar molecules are usually referred to as saccharides, and they are monomers of carbohydrates. When a saccharide is by itself, with no chains attached, it is called a monosaccharide, and when it is with other sugars, it is called a polysaccharide. When glucose molecules are linked together, they can make other important polymers like glycogen, starch, and cellulose. Here you can see we have a starch molecule. Yes, this is a starch molecule. So, starch is a polysaccharide used for energy storage in plants, but never in animals. Another kind of carbohydrate is called glycogen. Glycogen is a polysaccharide and is used in medium-term storage in animals, but never in plants. It is very similar in structure to starch, except that it forms shorter chains and with more branches for easy hydrolyzing. The final kind of carbohydrate is called cellulose. And you can see we have one of those right here. Yes. So, cellulose is made of, is found in plants. And while starch and glucose are made of while starch and glycogen, rather, are made of alpha glucose, cellulose is made of beta glucose and is stronger when cross-linked, and it is harder to hydrolyze. Cellulose is what makes up the individual fibers of plants that make them so strong. Another type of macromolecule is a protein. These are one of the most important macromolecules to animals because they are used in structure, communication between cells, transportation across the body, and storage of materials. Although proteins all do different things, they still have their own monomers, so they are still considered macromolecules. The monomer of a protein is called an amino acid. Amino acids are the basic structural unit of proteins. They are made up of an amino acid base, which is always the same and never changes, and an add-on called an R group. It is called this because in the amino acid chemical equation, the part that can be replaced is labeled R. The R group can be replaced by many other molecules which, when combined with the amino acid base and then attached to other amino acids, determine the function of the whole protein. A protein is actually 50 or so functioning amino acids that combine their uses to form a macromolecule that will perform one of hundreds of possible actions in your body. But how are they linked? Do they bond covalently like carbohydrates? Well, yes, but when amino acids bond covalently, we give it a special name, peptide bonding. And I know that sounds like an energy drink, but I assure you it's nothing like that at all. Otherwise, we'd have one of those at Fake Tech, because those are cool. A peptide is actually a technical term for when about 50 or less amino acids are linked. When there are 50 or more, it is called a polypeptide. The next kind of macromolecule is called a lipid. Lipids are fats comprised of one glycerol and 3 fatty acid chains. They are used to make cell membranes, and they also store energy. What's a fatty acid? I'm glad you asked. I was just getting to that. Fatty acids are strings of molecules that combine with glycerol make lipids. You may have heard of saturated and unsaturated fatty acids, am I right? Well, most people don't know the difference between them. Saturated fatty acids are fatty acid chains that have only single bonds. It is solid at room temperature and has a high melting point. Unsaturated fatty acids are fatty acid chains that have one or more double bonds. They are liquid at room temperature and have a low melting point. We also have trans fats. You've probably heard of these, and everyone says they're horrible and you shouldn't eat it. And they're right. Trans fats are unsaturated fats that have been given a trans isomer. These are artificially created, and they are very bad for you. It was first introduced to the masses when the all vegetable shortener Crisco was released. People use that stuff to remove tar and lipstick from clothing, which is exactly why it's so unhealthy. I suppose I should mention glycerol as well. Glycerol is a sweet-tasting yellow liquid that forms lipids along with fatty acids. The final type of macromolecule is called a nucleic acid, and boy is that fun to say. Nucleic acids are complex macromolecules that are inside living cells and are comprised of phosphate, ribose, and nitrogenous bases. The monomer of this molecule is called a nucleotide. A nucleotide base is 1 ribose, 1 phosphate, and one of the 4 nitrogenous bases, those being adenine, guanine, thymine, and cytosine. A ribose is a polysaccharide, and a phosphate is made of oxygen and phosphorus. When several combinations of these nucleotides combine, they form DNA. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and it is used for storing the information and genetic code necessary to make sure an entire organism runs properly and takes care of itself. It is stored in the nucleus of our cells, and it gives the instructions for what to do for cells. Sounds pretty important, huh? Well, that's an understatement. It is the most important macromolecule in your body. Without it, you'd simply be a pile of cells and macromolecule with no instructions on what to do next. So, that's all the macromolecules, and now it's time for us to go. Thank you so much for joining me on my tour of this facility. What? What in the... Oh my. What's happened here? This is... Oh my. Well, I've got to sort this out. Thank you so much for your tour. The exit is that way, and I'll run for your life. Goodbye.
Thank you for watching the video. I hope you now know a little bit more about macromolecules and how they work. Goodbye.